Let me tell you how it feels to be erased. Quietly, politely, and with a smile. My brother booked a $150,000 birthday party at my venue. Without even telling me. Not only that, he made me the financial backup on the contract. As if I was just the family wallet. As if my business, my boundaries, and my dignity were optional. They didn't ask. They assumed. When I confronted my family, no one defended me. Not my father. Not my mother. Certainly not Cole. They just asked me to not make a scene. Because heaven forbid the golden child doesn't get his rooftop gala with champagne towers and imported candles. And you know what? I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I documented everything. Because this wasn't about revenge, it was about respect. If you've ever been the responsible one, the invisible one, the one expected to carry the weight and keep your mouth shut, then you already know how this ends. Or maybe, how it begins. Because the moment I chose myself, everything changed. Before we dive into today's story, I just want to take a moment to say thank you, from the bottom of my heart. To everyone who's been following this journey, commenting, sharing your stories, and lifting up mine. I see you. Your words, your strength, your honesty, it's meant more to me than I can say. This space has become something real. And it's because of you. So, whether you're here for the first time or you've been walking with me from the beginning, I'm glad you're here. If you've ever felt like the quiet one in the family, the one who held everything together behind the scenes, the one who gave more than they got, this story is for you. And if you've ever wondered when it's your turn to be heard, it might be now. So grab your coffee, take a deep breath, and let's get into it. Hi there, I'm Lauren. And yes, you read that right. My brother's birthday party was hosted at the restaurant I manage, without my consent. He strolled in like he owned the place, hand in hand with his fiancée and her parents, and then had the nerve to tell the staff to remove that vagrant by the patio. That vagrant was me. But believe it or not, that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was that everyone in my family knew. They helped plan the whole thing. And they expected me to foot the bill. Quietly. I should have known the moment I pulled into my parents' ranch-style house in Scottsdale. That familiar pit settled in my stomach, the one that shows up before the drama does. Arizona heat was already suffocating the air, despite it being early April. It had been 4 months since I last came home. Not because I was too busy, because I knew this would happen. Mom met me on the porch with her signature lipstick smile, the kind that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Lauren, sweetheart. Still rocking those boots, huh?" she chirped, air kissing beside my cheek. "Maybe try sandals next time, let those ankles breathe." I faked a chuckle. "Good to see you too, Mom." Dad was at the dining table, laser-focused on his brisket, not even glancing up. And then there was Cole, lounging on the sectional like a magazine model, decked out in a tailored blazer I knew he couldn't afford. His smirk was the same smug one I grew up dodging. "Well, look who's alive," he drawled as he stood. Arizona's most elusive restaurant manager returns. "Still alphabetizing the condiments, or have you moved up to sauces?" I ignored him and took a seat across the room. The table was set with the good plates, the ones that only came out for birthdays, big news, or family stunts. I should have seen it coming. Dinner was stiff. Mom made small talk about the new mall. Dad grunted about traffic. Cole posted a selfie mid-meal, carefully cropping me out. Then he stood. "Hey everyone," he beamed, glass raised. "I'm turning 35 next week and it's going to be legendary. Think LA rooftop neon signs, champagne towers, drone shots. Oh, and I've booked it already." He looked straight at me. "Lauren, you'll love it. It's your restaurant after all." I sat there, chewing my cornbread, pretending I didn't feel the weight of betrayal burning my throat. Total cost? Just shy of $150,000. I nearly choked on my iced tea. I set the glass down slowly. Cole didn't blink. "And you," he said, pointing straight at me, "get to make it happen. Come on, sis. You're not even doing anything exciting with your money. Help me throw a party that actually matters." The room went still. Even the ceiling fan above us seemed to stop turning. I looked toward Mom, hoping, expecting she'd shut this circus down. Instead, she just tilted her head, her gold necklace catching the kitchen light. "Sweetheart," she cooed, "it would really mean a lot to your brother. You've been so lucky lately. Don't you think it's time you gave back a little?" Dad, still chewing, still silent, eyes fixed on his meatloaf like it was solving a mystery. That's when the truth hit me, cold and heavy. I wasn't family. I was funding. I fought the surge of heat rising in my chest. swallowed it down like poison and excused myself before I exploded. Again. Back at my townhome, I sat at the kitchen island with a glass of Pinot Noir, trying to erase the evening from my brain. I'd barely taken 2 sips when my phone buzzed. It was Ina, my operations manager, business partner, and unofficial emotional sponsor. Check Cole's Instagram story. I opened the app. There it was, a split-screen post. On one side, Cole sipping champagne beside a sharply dressed event planner. On the other, a shaky video of my Honda CR-V pulling into my driveway, windows down, paint sun-faded from the Arizona sun. Caption: when your rich sister lives like she's in witness protection. The comments came fast. At least she's not pretending to be something she's not. That house screams therapy bills. Well, she drives that. My jaw tightened until I thought my molars might crack. I wanted to reply, to unleash the full resume of everything I'd built. My business, my properties, my employees, my numbers. I wanted to shout. But I didn't. She thinks this is about a party. She has no clue what she's just started. 2 days passed. I didn't return a single call. I didn't answer any of Mom's texts or the guilt-trippy messages Cole sent with too many emojis. Ina offered to take my phone and chuck it into the Salt River. Honestly, tempting. Instead, I silenced everything and buried myself in permits and financial reports. My hands worked. My mind focused. But my chest stayed heavy. The video was still up, gaining likes, shares, laughs. People who didn't know me thought it was hilarious that I drove a decade-old car. That I didn't dress flashy or overshare online. She's not gonna stop, Ina muttered, tapping her pen on the table. I know, I said quietly. But it's not her I'm worried about. She raised an eyebrow. I didn't explain. Because I knew now the cracks weren't new. They just finally stopped hiding. That afternoon, I was reviewing zoning contracts when I noticed a familiar silhouette hovering beyond the frosted glass of my office door. My stomach sank. My mother doesn't do appointments. She breezed in like she owned the place, arms overflowing with energy and Tupperware. Thought I'd drop by, she announced, plopping a plastic container on my desk. Banana bread. Your favorite. Still no receptionist? You should make this place more inviting. I forced a smile. Hi, Mom. She took a seat like she was expected. Like she hadn't just appeared out of nowhere. You're working too hard again, she sighed, folding her hands over her purse. Just like your father used to. Only difference is he didn't have your head for finances. That part you got from me. I said nothing. Through the glass, I could see Ina look up from her computer, eyebrow raised. But I didn't wave her in. Then Mom pulled a cream-colored envelope from her handbag and placed it between us like it was nothing more than a flyer for a church fundraiser. Just a little something for you to glance at, she said lightly. I opened it. Inside was a printout, neatly typed with tabs and color-coded rows. At the top, Cole's 35th Dream Celebration. Halfway down, highlighted in pink. Venue contribution, Lauren. $150,000. Confirmed. My breath caught. Confirmed. I repeated too sharply. Who confirmed this? Mom's smile didn't move an inch. Let's not make this harder than it has to be, honey. You know Cole doesn't have that kind of cash. Your father and I, well, Social Security doesn't stretch far these days. He's your brother. I placed the envelope back on the desk like it might give me a rash. He made fun of my house, my car, my life online. He was being cheeky, she shrugged. It's just a phase. You know how he is. You're seriously asking me to bankroll someone who publicly mocked me? I said. Mom didn't flinch. I'm not asking, she replied. I'm showing you what's been arranged. You've always been the responsible one, Lauren. This is just expected. That word again. Not requested. Not proposed. Expected. I handed the banana bread back. Thanks, I said, cold as concrete. She looked like I'd punched her. Don't be like this, Lauren. You're being so dramatic. I think you've confused the definition of that word, I said, my voice sharper than intended. Mom stood up, smoothing the front of her lavender blouse like she'd just closed escrow. Let me know if you want the planner's contact. You're going to love her, very boutique. He smiled like it was a gift. Then she left, trailing the scent of her perfume and that damn envelope in her wake. I didn't rip it up. Didn't yell. Didn't text Ina. I just walked over to the window, stared blankly at the quiet Scottsdale street below, and let my jaw lock so tight it ached. They didn't ask. They assumed. Assumed I'd pay. Assumed I'd stay quiet. Assumed that banana bread on the counter was enough of a bribe. I stayed frozen there watching nothing. The desert sun had already dipped behind the mountains by the time I noticed the sky was dark. I turned off the lights, wandered through my house like it belonged to someone else, and ended up back in the kitchen. The banana bread still sat on the counter, wrapped tight in neat cellophane. A peace offering in sugar. I stared at it like it might whisper the truth. Mom used to bake that recipe when I was sick as a kid. Back then it meant comfort. Love. Well, it felt like a soft-spoken threat. I poured a glass of Cabernet, opened my laptop, and tried to distract myself with the usual. Lease agreements, maintenance budgets, payroll approvals. But my hands didn't move. The screen blurred. Then it hit me. I was 10 years old. Hospital bed. White sheets so thin you could see the mattress pattern beneath. Machines blinked beside me, the steady beep-beep of something keeping rhythm. I'd caught some kind of flu that hit hard and lingered. Mom never left the room. Curled in that stiff recliner, wrapped in her winter coat even in the Arizona spring. "You're the reason I'm strong," she whispered one night, stroking my hair. "You saved me from myself, Lauren." I blinked, too tired to speak. The next night I heard her on the phone with Dad, furious. "We gave up everything for her," she hissed. "I quit my job, Martin. You're working nights like a damn mule. I don't care. We're not leaving her in some god-awful facility." Then she hung up and smiled at me like nothing happened. "We gave up so much for you, sweetheart," she said gently. "Just promise you'll never forget that." I was 10. I nodded. Thought that was love. Devotion. I had no idea it was a trade agreement. My chest tightened as I sat there, back in my quiet kitchen. Just me, a half-lit room, a freezer full of frozen dinners, and no one asking how I felt. Only what I could provide. They never ask. They expect. And if I say no, they summon the memory ledger. Every diaper changed, every sleepless night, every tuition check. And hand me an emotional invoice labeled "What we did for you." I started remembering them all. College planning meetings, where I was expected to understand why Cole's visionary career meant he'd switch majors 4 times while I waitressed nights and kept a 3.9 GPA. Christmas mornings where my gifts were met with raised eyebrows and sly remarks. "Wow, not bad for someone without a husband." Every contribution I gave was weighed. Every one of theirs came pre-wrapped in guilt. I opened an old draft I'd started to Mom. Something polite, composed, safe. "Thanks for stopping by. I just wish we could be more transparent about expectations." One click. Gone. Deleted. Then I got up, walked to the freezer, opened the door, and slid the banana bread right in. Tucked it between a bag of frozen peas and that dusty bottle of vodka I never touch. I closed the door and stood there, whispering to no one. "I'm not your debt to collect. I'm not your redemption story. No tears. No triumph." But for the first time in months, maybe longer, I felt the ground under me again. I used to believe that being needed was the same thing as being loved. No, I wasn't so sure. The next morning, I was back at my desk before the sun had fully risen, before the baristas across the street flipped the sign to open. I hadn't slept much, but I didn't feel tired. I felt focused. Like something inside me had snapped into alignment. My inbox was packed. Venue requests, vendor updates, floral invoices. I skimmed it all like noise. Then Ina walked in, holding a manila envelope like it contained a live grenade. "Courier just dropped this off," she said. "From Cole's fiancée's assistant. Labeled urgent." He dropped it on my desk. My full name was printed across the front in a bold serif font, just under Monroe Event Group. Inside, a glossy tabbed contract. Gold-edged paper. Overproduced. Overpriced. The Imperial Deck House. One of the trendiest rooftop venues in downtown Phoenix. Typical Cole. They'd even included a family contact section. And there it was, bold as daylight. Family Financial Liaison. Lauren Monroe. Signature required. It didn't make sense until I flipped to page 6. Buried under a clause labeled liability adjustments, in a font that dared you not to squint, was the line that clarified everything. In the event that the primary booking party fails to remit payment in full within 30 business days, the listed family contact assumes responsibility for all unpaid balances, associated fees, and any legal or collection costs incurred. I stared. Read it twice. Then let out a quiet, bitter laugh. She really thought I wouldn't read this, I muttered. Ina, arms folded, leaned against the edge of the desk. She thought guilt would sign it for you. My fingers pressed against the paper. Not enough to tear it, just enough to feel it resist. I didn't say anything right away. I didn't need to. I slid the whole glossy contract into my bottom desk drawer and filed it mentally under one word. Evidence. You know, I said, if she put this much effort into managing her own money, she wouldn't need a backup wallet with my face on it. Ina raised an eyebrow. Want me to shred it? No. Let her wonder. I turned to my screen, opened a fresh email and typed with precision. To Cole's fiancé's assistant. Subject. Contract request. No greeting. No pleasantries. Just, we do not process documents submitted through emotional channels. All future communications regarding financial commitments must be routed through Monroe's legal department. Unsolicited contracts will not be acknowledged. I hit send. Then I opened my calendar and added a recurring weekly reminder. Monitor family-linked financial activity. I stared at the words for a moment. Then whispered to myself, that's the last time they catch me off guard. This wasn't heartbreak anymore. This wasn't betrayal. This was business. And in business, I don't scream. I don't cry. I build. No. I build walls. Tall ones. Quiet ones. Ones they can feel in their bones. Saturday mornings at Somerset, my calm place, used to feel like a quiet rhythm. Floral checks, linen touches, lighting reviews. Like conducting a private symphony before guests arrived. But today, as I moved through the white marble foyer, clipboard in hand, I felt it. A shift. A current in the air. Something was off. Ina trailed behind me through Somerset's arched hallways, her tablet balanced on one arm as she tapped away. We paused at the mirrored corridor that led to the upper terrace. Did you approve the white gardenias for next weekend's VIP? She asked, squinting at the screen. No, I replied. I haven't even touched next weekend's calendar. Her brows tightened. Well, someone did. The requests already logged. White gardenias, 2 ice sculptures, imported candles from Provence and a sound permit for live music. I stepped beside her and scanned the booking entry. Client initials, CM. My stomach dropped. A tightness gripped my ribs. She wouldn't, I murmured mostly to myself. Ina tilted her head. He might. We headed straight to the back office and pulled up the internal booking system. I bypassed the third-party agency portal and there it was. Somerset Grand Luxe Package. Booked externally. Event date? Cole's birthday weekend. No heads up. No phone call. No text. He booked my venue like it was a resort suite. Like I was a stranger. He's trying to force your hand, Ina said quietly. If the event's already rolling, you look petty if you cancel it. It was calculated. Desperate but calculated. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened the security footage from last night, Somerset's grand ballroom feed. And there he was. In a designer jacket and polished loafers, striding across my floor like he was leading a tour. Laughing, gesturing at the uplighting and vintage sconces. Beside him, some planner I didn't recognize. She followed him with a clipboard while he pointed toward the upper terrace, spinning in a full circle as if auditioning for a lifestyle spread. He's acting like he already owns the place, Ina muttered. I leaned back in my chair, arms crossed. My eyes never left the monitor. He thinks I won't touch him in public, I said flatly. Ina didn't speak. She knew that kind of stillness, the kind where something sharper than anger settles in. Cole thought this was still about family, about optics and social strategy. But this was my venue. And in my house the rules are different. Don't cancel anything, I said. Ina raised an eyebrow. You're letting him go through with it? I'm letting him dig his own grave. I opened a new folder on my desktop. Folder name, SEAM, unauthorized booking. Subfolder, internal communications. She wants this party to be legendary, I muttered. And I plan to make it unforgettable. Let's make sure he earns every inch of it. Ina smirked. You want a paper trail? I want a mountain. We walked back through the foyer as staff quietly prepped for a bridal brunch, unaware a family Cold War was unfolding in real time. This wasn't about imported candles or overpriced DJs anymore. This wasn't about a birthday. This was about who truly owned the name Monroe, the one on the gate, on the invoices, on the future. It was a breezy Wednesday afternoon. I was in my home office, windows cracked to let in the scent of blooming gardenias from the front yard. For once there was rhythm again. Clean contracts, tidy floor plans, second coffee still warm. Peace. Then my phone buzzed. You might want to check ballroom camera 3. It's happening. I didn't ask what she meant. I clicked the live feed instantly. Somerset's grand ballroom lit up on screen, crystal chandeliers glowing, sunlight catching the edge of gold sconces. And there he was, storming across the marble in dress shoes too polished for anyone who'd actually earned them. He was already mid-rant. This is the lighting? Seriously? It looks like a corporate retirement party. He motioned wildly toward the stage setup. A young decorator shrank behind a linen cart. You call this premium? I said Miami rooftop, not Scottsdale senior prom. He spun toward a florist arranging centerpieces and yanked a lily from one of the vases, dropping it onto the floor like it offended him. My followers are going to rip this apart. You people call yourselves professionals. A young intern passed by, balancing folded napkins. Cole snapped his fingers. Hey, napkin guy. That's not the silk I ordered. Jesus. Do any of you read? The kid kept walking. Cole rolled his eyes. Unreal. My sister lets this happen. And then he grabbed a clipboard, scanned it dramatically, and slammed it down so hard it skidded across the floor. I didn't flinch. I didn't blink. I just watched. Then Ina entered the frame. Calm. Direct. Spine straight. This is a private venue under contract, she said firmly, her voice cutting through his noise like a scalpel. Our team deserves to be treated with professional respect. Cole turned, brows raised, lips curled. Oh please. Spare me the lecture. Do you even know who I am? Ina didn't hesitate. Do you? For a moment the ballroom stilled. Cole scoffed, brushing past Ina with a muttered, ungrateful staff. My lawyer's on speed dial. But I wasn't listening anymore. I'd heard enough. Still seated in my home office, I leaned back and replayed the security footage. Watched again as Cole strutted, snapped, insulted, and stomped out of frame. His voice. His face. His ego. Captured. I minimized the video window and opened a folder already waiting on my desktop. Incident response. Inside, a single file. Client policy, section 3.2, grounds for termination and ban. There was. Plain as day. Hostile conduct towards staff. Defamation of venue. Willful property disruption. Every box checked. I dragged the footage into the folder. Cole thought he was staging a private act in a venue he didn't own. But he handed me everything I needed, on camera no less. Like a gift. Wrapped in entitlement. 2 days later, Somerset was dressed like a magazine spread. Fresh orchids curled around the marble banisters. Gold-trimmed chairs lined the ivory linen tables. The chandeliers above shimmered with soft pride, like they sensed what was coming. Cole arrived first, of course. He strode through the main archway like a movie director entering his set, one hand in his pocket, the other pointing theatrically. His fiancée trailed behind, clutching a glittering clutch. Cole's parents, Winston and Eloan Monroe, followed with slow grace. The kind of grace that says we don't ask for attention. We expect it. Cole turned dramatically at the base of the grand staircase. This, he said, arms wide, screams legacy. Don't you think? From my upstairs office I watched through the live camera feed. Ina stood calmly by the front entrance, clipboard in hand, her posture pristine. She glanced toward the camera and gave the faintest nod. Time. I straightened my navy blazer, adjusted my cuffs, and began to move. Below, Cole was in full monologue mode. The chandeliers? Austrian imports. Custom designed. The owner only works with elite clients. Eloan tilted her head. And the owner is? Cole smiled too wide. We have connections. Winston folded his hands. So, you don't know? Before Cole could pivot to another vague dodge, Ina pressed a button on her tablet. The ambient music stopped. Silence swept through the ballroom like a held breath. Then I stepped onto the staircase. My heels struck the marble, deliberate, sharp, echoing. It was time. Every head turned as I reached the midpoint of the grand staircase. I paused, met Cole's eyes, and offered the faintest smile. Then I continued my descent. Welcome to Somerset, I said smoothly, extending a hand to Eloan. I'm Lauren Monroe, owner and creative director of this estate. Winston's eyes widened slightly. Eloan raised one perfectly manicured brow, but it was curiosity, not offense, that flickered in her gaze. He looked like someone had yanked the air out of his lungs. You own this place? He stammered. But you live in that little townhome. I turned toward him, calm, precise. A smart businesswoman doesn't flaunt her assets. She builds them brick by brick and lets them speak for themselves. Eloan's lips curled into a subtle smile. How refreshing. I was beginning to think no one under 60 believed in discretion anymore. Winston gave a nod. Very impressive, Ms. Monroe. Exceptionally well executed. Beckham's expression changed. Not confusion, not obligation. Recognition. Cole stood rooted to the floor, lips parted, blinking like he'd just realized the rules of the game had changed and he never learned them. I didn't gloat. I didn't even lean in. I turned to Ina. Please escort the Monroe family to the East Terrace. I'll join them shortly. Ina gave a slight nod, then motioned gracefully toward the corridor. As they moved, Cole lingered behind, hands clenched at his sides, breath shallow. I passed him without a glance. For the first time in my life, I didn't need applause. I had the room. We walked the terrace slowly, unrushed. The Monroe family moved with the kind of elegance that said we don't try to impress. We just notice who's worth noticing. Near the fountain, Eloan gently pulled me aside. Cole hovered behind us, awkwardly adjusting his cuff links, trying and failing to reintegrate. You built all this? She asked, her voice soft. From the ground up, I replied. She inhaled, then gave me the kind of look only seasoned women give. Part appraisal, part approval. Silent but sure. You're exactly the kind of woman our family respects, she said. Quiet strength. Tangible success. Then from behind. Wait. Eloan, can we talk? Cole's voice cracked slightly. For the first time in decades, he didn't sound like the brother I feared. He sounded like the little brother I used to protect. But Eloan didn't turn around. Winston stepped forward a moment later and placed a firm hand on Beckham's shoulder. You might want to reconsider your priorities, he said quietly, but with unmistakable weight. Beckham glanced at Cole, then looked at me. He didn't say a word. But his silence wasn't a shield. It was a mirror. And it didn't protect Cole. It revealed him. Cole crumbled in the side hallway as the Monroes walked away. He backed against the mirrored wall and sank down, dress shoes scraping the marble, hands shaking, his voice cracking in a strangled half-sob. His blazer wrinkled at the seams. His reflection. A crumpled version of the persona he tried to sell. I didn't stop. I didn't say a word. I walked past him, shoulders squared, heels steady. No smirk. No glance. Just forward. That night I came home and left every light off, except the one in the kitchen. The silence wasn't empty. It was earned. I was sipping chamomile tea when my phone buzzed. One message. Dad, can we talk? I stared at it for a beat. Then hit call. He picked up on the first ring. Hey, princess, he said gently. I said nothing. I just think, maybe don't push things further, okay? It's still his birthday week. That was it. That was the sentence. Not I'm proud of you. Not you handled yourself with grace. Just, don't make waves. It's his week, I repeated softly, then gave a quiet laugh. I stood right in front of you all, I said, and you still didn't see me. He sighed. It's not like that. It is exactly like that, I replied. It always has been. Look, he said carefully, we just want the family to stay intact. I cut in. It's never been intact. It's been built around Cole like a house of cards. He didn't argue. Didn't deny it. I'm not mad, I said, calm now. I'm just done. Pause. You don't mean that. I do. I hung up. Then I slid the phone into the kitchen drawer and closed it softly. Outside, the desert lights of Scottsdale shimmered against the night. Somewhere in the distance, a band was playing, live music floating from a rooftop downtown. The kind that aches and soothes at once. I stood there breathing. Not waiting for anyone. Not hoping for anything. Just breathing. I didn't lose my family. I just stopped asking them to show up. 2 weeks passed. No apologies. No headlines. Just peace. The kind of quiet that doesn't echo, it settles. I was at my kitchen table sorting through vendor contracts and sipping lukewarm coffee when I noticed the email. Subject line: I'm sorry. From Martin Monroe. I clicked it before I could change my mind. You were right. I should have stood up. I'm sorry, Dad. That was it. No justifications. No, but you know how Cole is. No deflection. Just a single clean sentence. Late but clear. I read it 5 times. Then I deleted it. But I smiled when I did. Somerset hadn't slowed down. If anything, we were flying. 3 weddings on the calendar next month. 2 corporate galas. A high-profile fundraiser that had local media circling like seagulls. Ina was fielding inquiries from planners in 4 states. She walked into my office, tablet in hand and her classic calm across her face. We've got a new request. Eloan Monroe's niece, she said, tapping the screen. Asked for you directly. Of course she did, I said with a half smile. We'll take good care of her. And I meant it. Later that afternoon, my phone buzzed with a push notification from a wedding industry blog I didn't even subscribe to anymore. Influencer event cancelled. Somerset denies involvement. Speculation mounts. And beneath that, are luxury events just for show? Inside the collapse of a brand. They never mentioned Cole by name. They didn't have to. That evening, curiosity got the best of me. I pulled up Cole's socials. His latest video was still live, but everything felt muted. Dim lighting. No designer wardrobe. No jazzed-up intro. No music. No comments. He stared into the camera for nearly 2 full minutes before even speaking. I didn't watch the whole thing. Not because I couldn't. Because I didn't need to. There was no vindication. No fire. Just air. I closed the app, flipped my phone screen down and walked outside with a glass of Merlot. The porch was warm, bathed in the soft orange hue of an Arizona sunset. The air was still, save for the breeze moving through the Palo Verde trees. That morning I'd driven past my parents' house. Slowed for a moment. But I didn't stop. Not out of bitterness. Because I didn't feel the pull anymore. I used to think peace came from apologies. I used to think peace came when the scales finally tipped in your favor. When the people who hurt you were exposed and the family finally admitted they were wrong. But peace isn't dramatic like that. Peace is quieter. It's walking away when no one's asked you to. It's deleting the message and not needing to reply. It's saying no and not explaining why. I took a slow sip of wine as the desert night folded around me like a soft exhale. And maybe that's the real revenge. Not winning. But walking away clean. You know, if there's one thing this season of my life taught me, it's that peace doesn't begin when others start treating you right. It begins the moment you start treating yourself like you matter. For years I thought being loyal meant being quiet. That being a good daughter, good sister, meant shrinking so someone else could shine. But shrinking never saved anyone. It only teaches people how to overlook you better. You can love your family and still draw a boundary. You can let go without bitterness. You can stop chasing the love you were never really given in the first place. I didn't win by being louder. I won the moment I listened to myself. So let me ask you something. Have you ever felt invisible in your own story? Have you ever carried guilt that wasn't yours to begin with? If you have, tell me in the comments. I want to hear your truth. And hey, if this story hit home for you, just type 1 or let me know where you're watching from. If it didn't connect, that's okay too. Drop a comment and tell me why. Was it the message? The pacing? The ending? This channel is about real stories for real people. No filters. No fake bows at the end. So if you want more honest, emotional storytelling like this, subscribe. Hit that button. Stick around. You never know. The next story might be the one that finally puts your feelings into words. Thanks for spending your time here. See you in the next one. If you've made it this far, thank you. Really. I didn't share this story for sympathy or shock value. I shared it because I know I'm not the only one who's ever been overlooked, underestimated, or expected to carry everything in silence. If something in my story felt familiar to you, if it reminded you of a moment when you shrank yourself to keep the peace or gave more than you had just to feel seen, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Let me know what part hit you hardest. Or tell me what you wish someone had said to you when you needed it most. And if you've ever been the one in the background, the one who kept it together while others took center stage, leave a message for me. Tell me what strength looks like in your life. Remind me and everyone reading that quiet power is still power. And if you're still in the middle of your version of this story, If you haven't walked away yet or you're still hoping someone sees you, here's my advice. Don't wait for validation to start treating yourself like you matter. Set the boundary. Say no. Make space for the version of you that doesn't need to prove her worth to be respected. I know it's scary. I know it hurts. But peace isn't passive. It's a decision. One that starts inside you. And when you find it, no one can take it from you. If this story helped you feel seen, share it. Subscribe. Stay connected. Because the more we tell the truth, the more space we create. For healing, for growth, and for people like us to finally be heard. You're not alone. You never were. Let's keep talking.